Theory in a nutshell. Dominant sevenths, often seen abbreviated as a Dom 7 or 5-7, V being the Roman numeral for 5. Now, a dominant seventh is built on the dominant, hence the name dominant, of any major or minor scale, and has an added seventh on top. So the base triad here is a dominant triad with a minor seventh. So let's look at this. We've got a G to a B, which is a major third, a G to a D, which is a perfect fifth, and then here we have this fourth note, a minor seventh. So it's not a triad, it's a chord now, because only triads have triads only have 3 notes. This is a chord. It's got a minor seventh on top of this major triad underneath it. So it is now a dominant seventh chord. And this is our functional chord symbol, 5-7. Okay, so there's 4 notes in the chord, a major third, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. Now, if we go into a minor key, C minor, the chord is going to be exactly the same, because when you count from any time you count from C, you're going to end up with G as your dominant. And when you build this 4-note chord, we work in harmonic minor for this. So your 7th note, which is B flat, will be raised that half step to make it a leading tone. So we still have the major third, the perfect fifth, the minor 7th. The difference is, when there's a key signature, you'll see that there is a raised note. So if you don't know what the key is, and you're trying to figure out a dominant 7th, what key it's from, that accidental is a big neon sign will let you know that this one's from a minor key. So it's not E flat major. Well, plus G is not 5 of E flat major, but also that can just be, all of a sudden be the clue. That's a minor key. Now, the dominant 7th chord is the same for its parallel major and minor key that we just talked about, because of that raised note. So you can see them side by side. G, B natural, D, and F. Okay, because people, I want to bring this to the fore because people often make the mistake, okay, well, they're identifying this, they see C major, what's relative C major? A minor. Even though they might have discussed this in their lesson or they might have read about it or whatever, our brains go to the relative minor so quickly because we learned that first. It's always the parallel minor. Okay? Now, the root, quality, and functional chord symbols are fairly simple, actually, because you've got the functional chord symbol functioning back to the key is dominant, capital V, with a 7. That's 7, because if it was just V by itself, the 5, that would just mean a 5 chord. Once you add the 7, that's telling you that there's a 7th on top. So 5-7, V7. That 5-7 is your functional chord symbol in both. Also, the root quality is the same in both because it's a G major triad with the 7th on top. The G by itself means a major triad. The 7th means there's an added 7th on top. G major triad, 7 on top. G7, 5-7. Those are our root quality and functional chord symbols of a dominant 7th. Now, to identify a dominant 7th without using a key signature, like without having a key signature in it, you have to figure out, because that's sometimes what you're asked, what is this the dominant of? What key is 5 the dominant of? Well, you can count down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come to D. Or if you've done intervals and inversions at all, you would know that you can also count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If that's confusing, just ignore that and count down 5. But if you've done inversions at all, you can count up 4 because you're going to end up with the same note. Okay? So, well, let's look at that for a minute. You've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, E, F, G, A. Oh, okay. So here's an A. Let's see. Here we are. We want to know what that's 5 of. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's 5 of D major. But if we count this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, you still end up with D major. So you can count up 4 or count down 5. That's how that works. Okay, some people just prefer counting down 5 because it just makes sense to them. I'm going down to the tonic. Other people are fine to make this little leap up here and count up 4. Whatever works for you, go for it. Okay, so we know that A is the dominant of D. Okay, so there are two possible answers because the parallel major and minor share the same dominant note. So the answer is both D major and D minor. If it's just given to you like that, if the question says what major key is this from, well, you're going to say it's D major. What two possible keys? You're going to say D major and D minor. What minor key? It's going to be D minor, because you've found the tonic that this is the dominant to, the key that this A is the dominant to. Always remember to count down 5 or up 4 to find your tonic note. Now, sometimes you're asked to write out dominant seventh chords. Let's use a key signature. Okay, here we go, F major. So that has a B flat. So then remember, start on the dominant note. I see my students come back with their work done, and they started on the F because they forgot to make the connection that's the dominant seventh. So the dominant of F is, if you want to use your hands, F, G, A, B, C, fingers are perfect for that. It starts on a C. We could start down here or up there. Does it really matter? No. I prefer it to be where there's less use of ledger lines, because I find people get messy up here or get confused up here. So C is a dominant of F. F, E, G, B, done. There's my dominant seventh chord. A major, well, we know that has 3 sharps. We better know that, I hope. Father Charles goes. What's the dominant of A? If you counted up quickly on your fingers, then you would have found it. It's E. E, G, B, D, done. Boom, 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 boom. D minor. Let's see, what's the key signature of D minor? The relative. Is F. And then we know that that has a 1 flat. There we go. Dominant of D. Hopefully you came up with A. A, C, E, G. But we are not finished yet because we're in a minor key. This note right here, that C, is your 7th note. It must be raised to the leading tone. These do not have any raised notes because they're already a leading tone in the major key. We have to raise that 7th note to become the leading tone in a minor key. So a minor key, dominant 7th with a key signature will always have an accidental. Very important. People forget those accidentals all the time. That's what I have for you for dominant 7th chords today. This is the basic beginning of them, and I hope it helped.